From Washington, this is VOA News. President Obama visits Latin America, and South Korean president is headed to Washington. I'm Steve Karesh, reporting from Washington. Syria's main opposition is accusing President Bashar al-Assad's government of committing a, quote, large-scale massacre in a northwestern village, where activists say military forces have killed dozens of civilians. Citing witness accounts, the Syrian National Coalition said Friday that troops have executed at least 150 people in the village of Bayda on Thursday, including women and children. There has been no independent confirmation of this. However, the Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says it has documented at least 50 deaths from the incident, but it said the actual toll may be much higher, as many have disappeared. President Barack Obama has arrived in Costa Rica for talks with President Laura Chinchilla on bilateral issues ahead of Saturday's Central American Forum on Sustainable Economic Development. Saturday's meeting with 7 Central American leaders is expected to focus on boosting trade and fighting drug cartels. Obama said in an interview aired on Univision that the U.S. has not changed its policies regarding the cartels. All right. President Obama arrived in San Jose Friday afternoon from Mexico, where he discussed economic and security cooperation with his Mexican counterpart, Enrique Peña Nieto. Friday morning, the U.S. president addressed a young audience at the National Anthropology Museum in Mexico City, calling the U.S. and Mexico equal partners and adding the need for changes to gun control laws and immigration policies in the U.S. U.S. media outlets quote unnamed law enforcement officials as saying the bombs used in the deadly Boston Marathon attack were made in the apartment that the elder suspect Tamerlan Tsarnaev shared with his wife and child. This latest news raises questions about how much Tamerlan's widow might have known about the attack. Investigators have been questioning her as well. Officials have said that Tsarnaev brothers were originally planning attacks for July 4th, U.S. Independence Day, and had considered suicide bombings. Apparently, the brothers moved their attack plans to April 15th because they finished building their bombs sooner than expected. South Korea's president, who took office in late February, begins her first official visit to Washington on Sunday. The trip is intended to enhance the economic and security relationship between the two allies. Steve Herman reports.
President Park Geun-hye on her 6-day visit will be accompanied by what is billed as the largest ever South Korean economic delegation to the United States. Among the 51 business leaders, the chairman of the Samsung Electronics conglomerate, and the chiefs of the country's 5 largest business organizations. The economic focus of the trip, however, is likely to be overshadowed by security concerns, stemming from recent North Korean threats to attack both South Korea and the United States. Ms. Park's visit will allow President Obama to hear directly from his South Korean counterpart at the start of her 5-year term on her intended approach towards the North. Steve Herman, VOA News, Seoul.
For more, log on to voanews.com. It was another record-breaking day on Wall Street on Friday, as good news about the U.S. economy and jobs sent the markets to new highs. The Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed above 15,000 for the first time before falling back to close at 14,973. The S&P 500 closed at an all-time high. The Labor Department said 165,000 new jobs were created in April. The unemployment rate fell to 7.5%, its lowest level in more than 4 years. Police in Pakistan say the lead prosecutor in the murder case of former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto has been shot dead in Islamabad. Police say Chaudhry Zulfikar was shot multiple times as he was driving to court. Zulfikar was investigating the December 2007 assassination of Ms. Bhutto. No one has been convicted or sent to prison for her death. Former President Pervez Musharraf, who recently returned to Pakistan after nearly 4 years of self-imposed exile, is accused in the case. Mr. Musharraf has denied any involvement and says the allegations against him are politically motivated. A U.S. military refueling plane has crashed in Kyrgyzstan on Friday. The plane crashed west of an American air base used to support the U.S. forces fighting in Afghanistan. Officials at the air base said the fate of the crew was unknown. Reporting from Washington, I'm Steve Karesh, VOA News.